Hey there, it's Dr. Ampel with the Learning Liaisons here again with another fTCE vlog entry where we're going to analyze another typical fTCE question. I have a teacher I'm working with that sent me in one of the practice questions that she is working on that is on the state website. So this is one of the practice questions that the Pearson and the state of Florida offer on the website where you sign up for your test. This is an example question for the ESOL subject area exam. All right, so we're going to take a look at this question. So I already know what all of you guys are doing. You're all up there looking at that question first. You need to stop looking at that question first. All right, this is one of the big mindset changes that I discuss at length in all of my workshops on my website. If you want to check those out. So what we're going to do is you're going to train yourself is going to look at those answers first. All right, so we're going to forget that that's up there. Don't even, I know you're looking at it. You're just so used to looking at that. Stop looking at the question. So we are going to look at the answers first. Assess the student's level of prior knowledge about the content of the lessons. Design language lessons that can be incorporated into content instruction to strengthen the student's related academic language skills. Arrange for the student to receive peer tutoring from a native English speaker. Meet with the students' parents, guardians to discuss strategies that they can use to improve the support for their students at home learning. So in my trainings online, I do a lot of different test taking strategies. I teach people how these questions are written. There's not a group of people on an island somewhere just thinking about how they're going to screw teachers. Trust me, there's a certain protocol that's followed out. Some people might believe that, but I'm here to tell you that's false. There's a certain protocol that is followed when questions are written. These are things I teach in the College of Education classes and assessment classes, but we just don't do it in schools now because we spend millions of dollars on materials and guides and computer programs where mostly if you put together a test, it's already generated or you can pick from a bank and it's all aligned to the standard. So it makes life easier. But if you understand how questions are written, which I go over in my sessions, it really unlocks a lot of doors in many of these questions, and they turn questions that you thought were hard into questions that are actually pretty easy when you look at the mechanics of the question. So let's look at these answers. All right. I talk about a lot of different, I call them mental checklists to look for. We're just going to go over a couple of them here. All right. When I look at this question, okay, I am looking for some themes. All right, are there themes? And remember what the word theme is. Don't ever overanalyze it. It's just a commonality that 2 or 3 of the answers possibly share. Okay, so what helps me to do that sometimes is to look for some keywords and phrases in the answers as well. Keywords and phrases are actions or processes that are going on in the answers. Remember, we haven't got up to the question yet. All right, so assess the student's level. Keyword assess. Design language lessons. Okay, content instruction. Arrange for student to receive peer tutoring. Okay, meet with the student, parents, and guardians to discuss strategies at home learning. All right, so follow this here. All right, I'm seeing a theme here going on. I am looking at A and B. A and B are teacher directives. Teachers are assessing student knowledge. Teachers are designing lesson plans. So in my mind, I'm going to link these 2 answers together as a theme with teacher-centered, okay? Students receiving peer tutoring, that's working with another one, and this is parents. All right, so right now, since I see a theme there in A and B, that's really telling me before I get to the question, and I know you already cheated and looked at it, but before I get to the question, it's telling me that it's going to have something to do with an ESOL, because it says language lessons, okay? And it's going to have something to do with helping them understand content, because there has to be some misconnection going on. All right, so let's look at the question, and now we're going to look for the key word and phrase in the question. So a general education science teacher approaches an ESOL teacher with concerns about an advanced level ELL. The student is able to participate in class discussions but has performed poorly on the first few science tests. Which of the following recommendations would be the most appropriate for the ESOL teacher to make first? Okay. Now, a couple of things are going on here. One, you have to know what ESOL is, and obviously you do if you're taking the subject area for ESOL. All right. So obviously the first thing is this is an ESOL question. But if you're taking the subject area exam for ESOL, they're all going to be ESOL based. So not really an important keyword and term. All right. One, advanced level ELL. Even if you don't know what the textbook definition of that is, advanced. You know what the word advanced means. That means they're past the primary and middle levels. They're really acquiring the language at a fast pace, or they're already at advanced levels, meaning they have a great grasp of the language already. They've been through years of instruction. Okay. Now, let's look for the keyword and action going on here. Performed poorly. Performed poorly on science tests. So the kid who is advanced level ELL is not doing well on the first science test. Okay. They participate. Right, they participate, but the action here is they perform poorly. So if they are participating, that means they understand what's going on, they feel comfortable, but they're just not getting the content on the test. So with that being said, there are a couple of these answers that are instantly going to be marked off as no way can it be possible as an answer. All right, starting with A, assess the student's level of prior knowledge about the content of the lessons. Prior knowledge. We don't care about prior knowledge. It says right here that they're performing poorly on the tests and they participate well. So think about that. There's nothing to do with prior knowledge. It doesn't talk about the teachers want to find out what the student knows before they start teaching. That would be prior knowledge, right? So A is gone. All right, now look at D. Meeting with students, parents, and guardians to discuss, what does that have to do with the classroom? Now, you can argue and say, well, you want the parents to be engaged, they provide support, maybe they help them with their homework. That's great, okay? But we need to focus on doing better on tests. So there has to be a content comprehension issue here. If they're participating in class, raising their hand, doing activities, but they're not answering the correct questions on the test, they're not really grabbing the concept. So that's something that needs to be focused on with the teacher. All right, so D is going to be gone. All right, so now we have B and C left over. So remember, our key words and phrases up in the question where the student performed poorly on the science test. What's the most appropriate for the ESOL teacher to make first? Which recommendation? All right, now we're working on content for a kid. He participates, remember what we've been talking about, he participates in class very well, but he's not doing well on the test, which shows that there's a lack of connection between the content. So when we look at B and C, if the kid is not understanding the content and not performing well on the test, which one out of B or C would be the most appropriate recommendation? Well, as a teacher, if they have a lack of content connection and they're an ELL student, B would be your best choice. Design language lessons that will be incorporated into content instruction to strengthen the students' related academic language skills. Here it is right here. Strengthen the students' related academic skills. Remember what we said. Key word and phrase in the answer, content instruction. Content instruction. If they're not getting the content, they're performing poorly on the test. So that is why the best recommendation would be B. Now, when we look at C, arrange for the student to receive peer tutoring from a native English speaker. Well, we know in education that peer tutoring has its positives. It is a good practice to do in class. But in this instance, they are participating. But remember, the key word is they're performing poorly on those tests. So that's why you need to design lessons to work and strengthen that content instruction for that student. So once again, the answer is B. So thanks for tuning in for another question analysis here. My name is Dr. A with the Learning Liaisons, and I do very in-depth workshops online to help teachers pass all of the various fTCE exams. So check out the information below, And there's an email there for me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You could text me anytime at 407-797-1499. And all the links are below if you want to check out the website. So you guys have a great day and stay tuned for the next video.
Do you need to pass your Florida teacher certification exams? We help college students and classroom teachers all over the state pass several of these exams. We provide online workshops for a variety of exams, such as the General Knowledge Subject Area Exam for Elementary Education and Professional Education Test. Our teams of presenters are university professors in the state of Florida who have extensive experience with these exams and want to help you pass on your first attempt. Visit our website today to learn all about our fTCE prep services. We provide scheduled live online interactive workshops each week in our virtual classrooms. Can't make a scheduled session? Don't worry. Enroll 24/7 in one of our video courses and get instant access to previous workshop recordings and resources. Our past workshop participants often share how our discussions and strategies have provided them with first attempt success on their various exams. Check out what some of our recent workshop attendees have said. Our workshops focus on the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are needed to guarantee success on your exam. You can do it. Register today and get what you need to pass exclusively with the Learning Liaisons. fTCEworkshops.com.